All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming on the show. And if you can just tell us your full name and what do you do?
First of all, Mike, thank you for having me on. Always a big fan of your work, and I really appreciate the opportunity. It's always great to talk to you, too.
Thank you.
My name's Sam Dever. I am a multimedia producer, a podcast host, actor, speaker, and then I got to add artist to the end of that.
Absolutely.
Because artist just pretty much encapsulates it all. So yeah, that's what I do. I have a production company called Sam Dever Productions.
Okay.
And right now, under that, I am producing the Sam Dever podcast, which you have been on before.
Yes.
Awesome episode. Everyone should check it out. Episode 117.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fun day.
Yeah.
And I'm doing Produce Your Passion, which I'm sure we're going to get into.
Yes, absolutely.
Here in a bit. And I'm also bringing back a project from years ago, which was a big part of my media production journey, which is called the Social Media Show.
Okay, you started that in Vegas.
That was started in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've been on the back burner for some years, but I've worked with my brother on that. Shout out to Matt. And then the hosts are Vegas Wayne and Asia Jade.
Okay.
So we're calling it, we're getting the band back together.
So Asia and the other person?
Vegas Wayne.
They're going to be here in LA?
They're going to be in Vegas. We're going to do a lot of it online in the beginning, but a lot of it we were in Vegas doing. We were doing in studio stuff. We were going to conferences in Vegas.
Okay.
And then we did on the Vegas Strip. It was talking to people about social media. And this is about 10 years ago. So this is back when social media was new. It was a lot of people didn't know much about it. It's kind of what AI is now. Everyone was hearing about social media, but they didn't know, what do we do with this? So we would talk to business owners, artists, random people on the street of like, hey, how do you like to use social media? They would just start a conversation from there. So it's going to be interesting the direction we take with it now.
Okay.
Because now social media is everywhere. Everybody uses it.
Yeah, true.
Everyone has an Instagram.
all over the world.
But with that is opportunity. Like, okay, let's see where we can take this now. But that project was pivotal in my production journey.
Okay. All right. So you have the Sam Dever Productions. And so if you can tell us, like underneath that, you have the Sam Dever Podcast, the social media show.
And Produce Your Passion.
And Produce Your Passion. So can you tell us a little bit more about Produce Your Passion?
Yeah. So Produce Your Passion is, I'll start with how I got the phrase.
Okay.
So Produce Your Passion was birthed out of a speaking course I was taking. I was at a podcast conference.
Okay.
This is almost a year ago. And I met these people that were part of this speaking organization, and they said, hey, have you ever considered wanting to be a speaker? And it had always been in the back of my mind, but I never really gave it too much thought. They go, you have a podcast. That's a perfect way to help promote your podcast. They'll play off each other, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, sign me up. Let's do it. So I go through this course. I'm working with a coach, really good coach, and you're going through these brainstorming sessions because to be a speaker, you got to know what you're going to speak about. So I'm like, okay, what's my topic going to be? So I knew it was going to be in the realm of creativity, arts, overcoming obstacles, that type of thing. But I'm like, but what do you call that? And, you look online and there's tons of people speak on that type of thing. So I had to get out of my head with that and realize this is my experience. So what is it going to be? I'm like, well, I really started to think about my creative career. And I'm like, well, I've always made my projects happen. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I get this idea. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to put this together and bring this to life? So I'm like, well, what is it? That's a producer. You're producing something. You're taking something from nothing and we're making it real. So I'm like, okay, produce. And I'm like, well, what is it that I'm producing? Like, these are things, these are projects. These are passions of mine. Oh, I produce passions. That's what I do. So next thing you know, I'm like, produce your passion. Okay. That's what I'm going to talk. And I even get goosebumps talking about it because it was beyond a speaking topic. I had uncovered my life mantra. And I know it's not only mine. I know, especially out here in Los Angeles, you being one of those people as well, so many people produce their passions out here. We're surrounded by it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's what I want to speak about, is producing your passions and helping creative people overcome obstacles to bring their vision to life and to help them to become the most authentic version of themselves.
Okay. So if I can ask you a question about that, about producing your passion. So do you help people to find their passion? Because a lot of people, they don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they say, I want to do something. I don't know what I'm passionate about. So do you help them find it in them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's part of the talk. So it's evolved. So it started as a speech. Then I wrote a book.
Okay.
And then I'm like, okay, well, we're going to add coaching to this. I eventually want to do events. Think, TED Talks. Not exactly like that, but as far as people, that not only me, but other people who have produced your passion stories.
Okay.
So to answer your question, yes, I want it to inspire people so they start thinking about it. Because some people know what their passions are. They just haven't taken action on it.
Okay.
But there are some people, that's a great question, that never even stop to think about it. And it's like, well, what is a passion? And to me, a passion is that thing that you're always thinking about, or you fantasize about, or you dream about, but you never take action. So maybe a lot of people know what their passions are, but they haven't labeled that as their passion.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like maybe someone thought about all the time of creating a talk show, but they never they consider that a passion or a possibility.
Yeah.
They just think it's some fantasy, but I could never do that because of XYZ. I don't have the money, or people will make fun of me, or I don't have experience in that. Why would I even do that? Yeah. That's what Produce Your Passion is meant to be, as a resource to help people overcome those obstacles to see the project get executed into completion.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Absolutely. And I was going to say, a lot of people, they try different things before they discover their passion. Like, that's what happened with me. I didn't know. I mean, when I was a young boy, I did buy a camera, and I used to love cameras. But I didn't know that the camera was my passion until I went to Playhouse West, and I started, playing with the camera and making movies. And you remember, we made, 2 or 3 short movies together. And then it made me happy. And it made me like, this is what I want to do. This is my passion. And I discovered my passion that way. So if you do a lot of things, maybe one of these things is going to make you so happy that you're going to pursue it for the rest of your life. And that could be your passion.
That's a clip right there. No, I love that. What you just described, you're exactly right. And it's a good point, because a lot of times the thing that you think is the thing is not the thing. It's leading you to the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and man, I have to give you your props, because I remember, like, I said it when I walked in here. I remember coming here when you had one camera.
Yes.
One. You're like, I just got this new camera. And you walk in here now, it's like a camera store. You have so many lights and equipment and computers, and man, I'm proud of you, because you produce your passions.
Thank you.
But you have to take that first step, which was following that intuition. When you're like, man, that was fun making that short film. Okay, well, what else can we do? Then you do a little more, and then you do buy that piece of equipment, or that first piece of equipment. Then you start adding some more, and then you start watching tutorials, and you start practicing more, and it's an evolution. It's an ever-going process.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a question where how do you help people effectively set and achieve personal and professional goals?
Well, I think the number one thing to do is for people to find out what their why is.
Okay.
Why are you doing this? Because whenever you're going for a goal or any type of milestone, it's a long road. I've been having this talk a lot lately. Like, we got to get this overnight success stuff out of our heads. Yeah. Because I think social media has really painted this picture. You just see people posting the highlights of everything and be like, oh man, yesterday they didn't post that and today they posted it. They must have just come up with that overnight. It's like, no, this is weeks and months and years in the making for a lot of this stuff. So as far as for people to be able to stay on track, and I talk about this in the book, Produce Your Passion, you got to figure out what that why is. Why do I want to do that?
Okay.
You know, maybe it is a huge passion of yours, and you're like, no, because with passion comes purpose.
Okay.
So maybe with that why, when you get to those moments when you're on the journey, when it's not going as smooth, because as you know, when we're doing these, you have days where it goes smooth and you have days where everything goes wrong.
Absolutely.
So you got to remind yourself in those moments that, hey, this is hard, but this is why I'm doing it. I'm doing this to make a difference. I'm doing this because this is just something I want to do. You name it, but go back to that why.
Okay. And so that brings us to another question, where how you keep people motivated and focusing on their long-term goals. Is it the same thing with the why, or do you have like other strategies, like writing down your goals and going through them and just pick one and concentrate on that one because it's going to help you the most and build on it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm relating everything to the book, Produce Your Passion, which people can download for free.
Okay, so it's ready. The book is ready.
I've written it. By the time this releases and the official Produce Your Passion website is up, I'm just giving it away. I'm giving it away. It's basically, I started with my speech, and then I just like, this is a book. I gotta, I gotta finish this. So I talk about the three main areas that people get stuck on when they're producing their passion.
Okay.
Number one is financial. It's the most obvious one. And let's be real, it's a reasonable excuse. Money rules the world.
It does.
You have to pay your rent, you have to buy food, you need money.
You do.
So a lot of times people get stopped there, but beyond money, there's the mental obstacles, which I will argue, when you get past the financial part of it, the mental is actually just as hard, if not harder sometimes.
Yes.
And then there's the emotional obstacles. So let me give you a couple tips from each one of those areas, just for time purposes, but to give everyone a taste of what we're talking about. Financial obstacles. One tip, and this is how I live my life, and I know a lot of people out here in Los Angeles do, live below your means. Learn to live below your means, because when you live below your means, not only are you going to have less financial strain, but you're going to be in a position where you can have extra money to put towards your passions.
True.
So it's going to be a less stressful road, at least from the financial part of it, when, I didn't commit to a big mortgage, or how many of us can afford houses in LA anyway?
Almost impossible.
Yeah, I didn't pick the apartment that cost $6,000 a month, and I'm using extreme examples here. Instead of going, I need the new fancy car. Well, how about I just use the car I have that's paid off, and I don't have a car payment, and just take care of that.
True.
So it's shifting your mind to how can we trim the fat, if you will, from our finances, so we can have that extra, even if it's a couple $100s a month, to throw toward our passions. And then another tip I'll give with that is you have to make it priority. And this is related to financial, because when you make your passion a priority, you are going to make decisions that aren't going to put you in bad financial situations. Like if you said you were going to finish that screenplay by Friday night and your friends call you and, hey, we're all going out. We're going to this restaurant, then we're going here, and we're going there. Well, that's going to cost you quite a bit of money. It's like maybe sometimes you got to make those decisions of saying no and buckling down and getting it done, So that's financial. So then there's the mental aspect of everything. And two tips I've written from there pertaining to the question would be make your own momentum. When you make your own momentum, you are, I don't know if celebrate's the right word, but you're recognizing those little milestones. If you told yourself you were going to put up the splash page to your website that you're building, that's a milestone. Yeah. Do you have a ton of work before you get that full website built? Of course. But you can't get too in your head about a huge amount of work that you have to do. Just, hey, take it one step at a time, one day at a time.
Yep.
Another part of mental that I would say, focus on what you need to do. Do not compare your journey to others. And with social media, I am more guilty than anybody, especially when it comes to podcasting. Taking a look at XYZ podcast, I'm like, dang, they got how many views?
Yeah.
How many subscribers? I thought I was doing okay until I just saw what they're doing. Comparison is truly the thief of joy. So, yeah, don't compare. It's okay to get inspiration or to learn from someone, but you want to find one of the quickest ways to get in your head and get you stuck. That will do it.
As long as you're moving forward, then you don't have to compare yourself to anyone.
It's your journey.
It's your journey, and you're going forward.
Yeah.
So one day you're gonna become like them, but it's gonna be, even when you make it, it's gonna be different than them, because you have your own brand, you have your own thing that you're working on. But yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. I agree.
Yeah, and then emotional. 2 from there is, this one's huge for me, and I know you'll relate to this because you're part of mine. You have to find your passionate tribe.
Yeah.
Creative tribe, whatever you want to call it, artistic circle, like-minded people. Because when you surround yourself by like-minded people, you're going to feel that energy. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. When you're around negative people or people that don't see your vision or give you constant criticism, that's going to bring you down and not make you feel good.
Yes.
And that's going to, you know, that not only affects your emotions, that's going to fit your mental mind state. But even more than ever, like I have found, like, man, to have those people that I can call, and I know I've done this with you before, like, man, like editing this, or this happened on YouTube, or blah, blah, blah. And people, some people, like, what are you talking about? But the people that have been through it similar to you, it's like, it's almost like an unofficial therapy session. You guys can vent about stuff and talk things through. Relate. There you go. So that's very important. And another thing I'll add to that is you got to take care of yourself. And I talk about all these things, but eat good, sleep, work out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And some people say, well, what does that have? How does that have anything to do with setting goals and doing that? Well, you got to be able to operate at your maximum efficiency.
Yeah. And that brings us to another question, actually, which is time management. Because you said, you got to work out, you got to sleep good, you got to eat good. And that all, goes into time management. But before we get to that, I just want to, and maybe you mentioned this, but when you going back to the first thing that you said, live below your means and don't have any credit card debt.
Yeah.
That is a killer. You can't move, you can't do anything because you have to pay it every month. Just make sure that your credit cards are zero. They have zero balance on it. And pay everything month to month in full. If you don't have the money, don't buy it. If you have the money, go ahead and buy it. I mean, that would be my advice to anyone.
And that's great advice. And people should be listening to you on that, because I haven't necessarily lived that philosophy as much, especially on my entrepreneurial journey. But I've been open about that. I've talked about that on podcasts. There's been times where, many times, where I'm like, I want that project to happen. I guess Visa's going to take care of this one. I'm going to have to pay this.
Yeah.
But that's the extreme end.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell everyone, oh, just throw it on a credit card, because that is bad financial advice. But there are certain levels to it in your career where taking on a debt for a project, when you have a vision with it and you know where you're trying to go with it, there is a risk in that. But to some, like, if you've never done anything before and you have zero experience, no, don't go throw that on a credit card.
No, absolutely.
There's so many things you can do for free.
Absolutely. My point is that, if you know what you're doing, then that's fine. But, you just don't have a lot of credit card debt, because you're going to end up, if you pay the minimum, that's not going to end. And you're going to accumulate interest, and it's just going to be
That's how it's set up. They never want you to pay it off.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want you to continue to pay that interest. And I don't know the exact numbers on it, but man, if you have $10K in credit card debt and all you do is pay the minimum, how much interest are you going to end up paying on that? I mean, it's going to be a lot.
I know, and it's going to take you years and years to finish.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen in like a year or two. It's going to drag and drag and drag. So it's a bad thing. You just be careful. That's all. Just be careful.
Be smart about it.
Exactly. So going to the question about time management. Now, you talked about, working out and eating good, sleeping good. you got to balance your life between work and all these things. A lot of people, they say, oh, I don't have time to go work out. I don't have time to eat healthy because I'm busy. I go to, this place and I get my food from there. It's not the healthiest, but I don't have time. So time management is extremely important. So what are your tips on time management?
Number one, you got to treat everything like a job.
Okay.
Working out is a job. Eating right is a job. Getting good sleep is a job. Self-improvement, such as readings and research and things like that, that is a job. And then you have your jobs
Yeah, exactly.
that you do, but you can't, you have to make it priority. Because when you make things priority, that's what they become. They become priorities, non-negotiables. You have to have that conversation with yourself. If you want to get in better shape, we have to go to the gym. Even when you don't feel like it, when, man, it's been a crazy day, a hectic day, it's like, okay, it's blah, blah o'clock. Time to go to the gym. This is what we do.
No excuses.
No excuses. And really what I personally do the night, right before I go to bed, the night before the next day, I write out my entire day.
Okay.
I write out the time I'm getting up. I write out, here's what we're doing in the first hour of getting up. Here's what we're doing in the next hour, the next hour, the next hour. If there's appointments, if there's meetings, if we're doing something, if it's a podcast day, I write the time I'm going to the gym. I'll write like when I eat most of the time. And then I write all the way to bedtime. Now, are there days where that gets thrown off or things get chaotic and stuff get, absolutely. But more times than not, it gives you a nice system to follow and guidelines.
Okay.
So when you can look at the clock, you go, okay, this is done. Now it's time to go to this. It just keeps you organized.
So you have to have a routine.
Routine.
Okay.
I could have just said that, but that's
No, but
that's a good way to put it.
is that a good thing though, to have a routine?
I'm Mr. Routine.
Okay.
I do not, and for better or for worse, I love having set schedules. I like knowing things in advance. I'm very punctual. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Like, my weekends are not like, oh, we're just going to see what happens. Like, no, I know what I'm doing all weekend. I'm very intentional about that.
So are you the kind of guy that likes to take the same route to work every day, or you like to change it every once in a while?
Oh, man. I am that same route to work every day guy. So everyone's like, man, he must be a bore. Like, he must be boring. But the older I get too, I am a man of routine.
Okay.
Same thing with my eating. Like, I just eat the same stuff. Like, a lot of people would think it's boring, but I'm like, no, this is what I eat.
But you eat the healthy stuff.
I eat the healthy stuff.
I mean, you mix it together and you have the meat, the chicken, the fish, and the veggies and the greens.
Yeah. You don't have steak every night, but you have steak, you have chicken, you have your fish, you have your ground turkey, and but we're pretty diligent on keeping that in line. I don't, because it's my fuel.
Okay.
It's how I feel.
And when you do that long enough, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
A good habit.
Yeah.
So you do it automatically without even thinking about it, right?
And you just said a great word, habit. Because habits become habits whether they're good or bad. And I just now realized that.
Okay.
Habits just aren't good habits. No. Habits become bad habits because we get comfortable.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do it automatically.
Yeah. So the key is
even thinking about it.
Yeah, the key, exactly. Now it no longer seems like a chore.
Okay.
I think it was David Goggins. I saw a clip where he's like, make yourself do uncomfortable things every day. Like uncomfortable. Get outside your comfort zone. That's why a lot of people do those cold showers and ice plunges and stuff, because you're starting your day doing something really, really hard. And then psychologically, that puts you in a mind space like, okay, whatever happens today, I'm ready for it.
Okay. So how can somebody identify their weaknesses, and how can they change it from a weakness to a positive outcome?
It's a great question. I'm going to go to what an acting teacher once said in acting class. He said, I'm paraphrasing him, but the more you can recognize your deficiencies, the quicker you can take the action to correct them. So as far as, I don't know if that really answers your question about recognizing it, but I do think to be able to recognize it, I think the first step is you have to admit that you have deficiencies, because what gets in our way is ego.
Yeah.
We don't like to admit when we're not good at something. But sometimes you have to really be able to take an honest look at something you're doing. And it doesn't mean that whatever your industry you're in, that you're bad at this or this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you're in learning stages of things. You're going to have weaknesses. You're going to have some things that you're obviously stronger in. But being able to say, like, okay, I'm making this up, but I'm really good at sales, but I'm not a good marketer, or vice versa. Maybe I'm a really good marketer, but I'm not good at sales. I think there's one or two options there. You can either recognize that and then take the necessary steps of action to improve, get training, keep practicing it, et cetera, or you can find someone else who's really good at that and hire them to do that. And I'm learning that right now too. That's taken me a long time to figure out, is delegation.
Okay.
Being able to delegate your weaknesses. And I'm not trying to avoid not working on your weaknesses by saying that, but sometimes getting better at your weaknesses is accepting that those are your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
It's like, so, hey, there are situations where, you know what, I can do a better job of this, this, and this, and improve at that. But then there's times where I'm like, you know what, that's just not my forte. That's just not my cup of tea. Let me find someone who's really good at that. I'll get Warren Buffett talks about that. Warren Buffett says, I'm not this big genius, even though, I mean, he is a genius. but he says, really what a lot of my success has been is I've just hired extremely talented, intelligent people who are experts at what they do, more than I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's so successful. But that is a lot harder to do, to like let go and let other people in on your vision and your dream, your passion, whatever it is. But sometimes I think that's the best way to correct a weakness, is to spot it, is to recognize that, okay, I'm not perfect.
Yes.
We are not perfect. So it's letting go of that ego, and then having the ability to be honest with yourself.
No, absolutely. That's the first step. You have to admit to yourself that I have this problem, and now I have to find solutions to this problem, and how can I go about it going forward? Because if you don't know that you have a problem, you can never fix it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with
exactly.
you. Yeah. So that brings us to a healthy mindset. And I know you mentioned mindset and you talked about it a little bit, but how can somebody be, because the worst enemy, like my worst enemy is myself. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Am I doing the right thing? Am I wasting my time? I start beating myself. So how can we shift that to become more positive and not think about sabotaging ourselves?
Program your mind.
Okay.
Your mind is like a computer, and we can write the code for it to go really good or for it to go really not good.
So how do you do that?
So how do you do that? It really, for me, it's how I start my day. I start my day with reading. I start my day with affirmations. I start my day with meditation. I start my day with a walk around the block. I determine what my day is. Now, am I perfect at it some days? No. But I try my best to not look at social media, not check emails, don't get on YouTube to start your day, because literally when you wake up, this is like the most critical time.
Yes.
This is going to set the tone for the entire day. So when you wake up and you open your phone and you open Instagram and you see a crazy news story, or you see someone post something that offends you, or whatever it may be, that's the mind state you're starting the day in. So I like to be the one that chooses, okay, this is the mind state I'm going to choose today. I can't control what's going to happen today externally, but I'm at least going to be in the best possible state of mind I can be in to take these things on. Surrounding yourself with positive people, reading positive books, whatever you look at and ingest beyond food, you got to think not just food diet, but mental diet. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Is it inspiring? Is it dense? Is it deep? Is it intellectual? Or is it just goofy and no substance. And look, nothing wrong with that. I love animal videos on TikTok just as much as anybody. But you can't spend all day watching animal videos on TikTok. It's like you have to really program your mind, like, and tell it, this is what I'm going to do. One of the best books I ever read, I mean, back in 2010, was The Power of the Subconscious Mind with Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes I do watch animal videos for hours on
They're great.
TikTok.
They're great. I love them. I love animals, and they're entertaining.
And just before you know it, it's like you're looking at the TikTok short, and before you know it, it's like 2 hours, and I just wasted 2 hours. What am I doing?
Trust me, I've done that more than once. And look, sometimes you need that. Sometimes a little bit of social media scrolling. You know, it's just what the doctor ordered. It's like, I just need to decompress. My brain's already exhausted from the day. I'm just going to watch some entertaining videos. And what makes me die laughing on social media videos is public fart videos. Hilarious. So funny.
It is funny.
Like, I don't know if it's real or they're using a machine, but it is so funny, and I'll get lost in that for 30 minutes.
I've seen some of these videos on Facebook. Yeah.
So what I mean is, like, but you really have to be disciplined with your time. Like, you have to. So back to the programming thing. Maybe that's what you do when you're writing out your schedule. Like, hey, I got to get all this work done today, but you know what? When it's 8 o'clock and the work's done and I'm ready to start shutting down anyway, hey, let's give myself 30 minutes of TikTok time.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to get in the habit of is you're checking TikTok all throughout the day, in between stuff, because that's when you'll really get distracted and you're not going to be fully present in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Those apps are designed to work that way, by the way. Yeah. They're designed to hypnotize you.
And they do.
And they do.
They're doing a good job at it.
They're doing a phenomenal job at it. There's a reason why they're worth what they're worth, because they suck in people's attention like no other. It's crazy. Like, it's really insane when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you go now, if you go to a doctor's office and you see a bunch of people waiting, no one's talking to anyone. Everybody's on their phone. They're watching shorts. They're going on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. It's just the way it is. Even people, I was driving on the 101 today, and like a car was going to hit me. And, it didn't hit me, but the lady was on her phone driving on the 101 freeway. I mean, that's why we get into a lot of accidents.
One of the busiest freeways in the world, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's funny you brought that up, because I've been saying this more and more. I'm encouraging people, when you go out in public, try putting your phone in the pocket the next time you're in line at the bank, at the grocery store. Say hi to somebody. Start a conversation. But what's crazy is I think more and more people, like, when you do say hi to them, they're like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
It's like, this is how we used to talk, like, and interact. But we live in a world where social media, yes, it's connected us, but we're also so distant at the same time.
That's
if
true.
you think about it. Like, you can be in the same room, and even take it a step further, people go on dates and they're both on their phone.
Yes.
It's like, what are you doing?
It's
like,
insane.
why?
It's insane.
They've created a new reality that people would rather live in that reality than the actual reality we are in.
Kind of sad when you think about it.
It is sad. And I've been talking about this for years, but yeah, if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have been able to do all the things I've been able to do, because it's given me platforms to create my projects and throw it out. That's awesome. And it has connected people in good ways. But it also has numbed us to human interaction in person. Yeah. And it's really, I don't think it's been that great for society. That'd be a whole other talk show, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So going back to the question,
That's the question.
The second part of the question is that when someone gets into a challenging time, it could be something big or something not that big, how can they stay motivated? Because a lot of people might just say, you know what, they get hit like a divorce or like a bankruptcy or like, losing a business or something big, but how can they still go about their passion during these challenging times?
That is a phenomenal question. Now, let me you with their passion or just life in general?
Life in general and their passion.
Yeah, I'll mix in both.
Okay.
I'll say this to the camera, to everybody. Nothing is permanent.
That's true.
You have to remember that. Nothing is permanent. Change is going to come no matter what. There are going to be days where things are great. There are going to be days where things are not great. Yep. Things are simply going to happen. That is life. For me, one of the biggest keys when going through tougher times, and I'm getting better at it than what I used to be, is you have to recognize when something like that's happening, like, okay, this is not permanent.
Yeah.
My mind and everything right now is making it seem like, oh my gosh, this is how it's going to be forever. It may seem that way in the moment, especially if like you're in like physical pain. Now that's hard to escape, but you do realize that it does get better. And what's really helped my perspective, and I've told you before, I'll thank you again. The night of my major leg injury I had over 4 years ago, when you were one of the people there to help me alongside Eric Jorgensen, that amount of pain I was in the process of going through all of that, it really made me just grateful for just the smallest things. Mm-hmm. So when you do find yourself in those crazy mind states, start getting grateful.
Yes.
Start having gratitude. Start saying, okay, I got a roof over my head. I got food in the fridge. I have a vehicle. And even if you don't have some of those things, think of the things you do have. And that, for me, that's what's helped me, is when I am in those really intense times, whether it's just my life or when I'm producing my passion, I remind myself that, okay, this is all temporary. Mm-hmm. This is going to go away. And I back to the emotion aspect, obstacles of producing your passion. Our emotions are like the weather. We're the clear blue sunny sky. That's who we are. But what happens? It's like clouds come, the storms come, mm-hmm. and we identify with those things when they come. Like, so when people get depressed, when they get sad, when they get angry, like I'm this, I'm that, this is who I am. It's like, no, you're feeling emotions. And that's actually helped me a lot, just to be able to have awareness. So if people can have better awareness too, and recognize, because yes, certain things happen, you think your world's coming to an end. The reality is your world is not coming to an end. You're just thinking that it is. Emotions are very powerful. So stay present, have awareness of yourself, and recognize that nothing is permanent. Everything is going to keep going, but you have to, and I'll add something onto that. Like, I go to the gym a lot. Like, a lot of times if I'm in a funky mood or stuff, like, go work out. Go on a walk. You got to remove yourself from the environment that you're feeling that in. So if you
have to interrupt it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're in a room and you're just feeling anxious or you're depressed, go outside and go on a walk. Get yourself out of that situation. Mm. Call a friend. Listen to some music. Music's huge. Music does something to your mind, like, mm-hmm. and can elevate your emotional state. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, those would be some things I would tell people to do, is just know that, hey, whatever's happening right now, look, if your house is burning down, the house is burning down, get out, obviously, but a lot of things we come up with in our heads.
Yeah.
There's a saying, I don't know the exact percentage, but they say 90-something% of the things that we worry about never even happen.
Yeah, exactly. They say things are more, what's the saying? They say these things are more horrible, or they're way worse in our imagination than, in real life.
Yeah.
We make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, than, reality is.
And look, we worry. We as humans worry. It's just natural to do. And kind of, I've dove into this topic with some people. It's like, why? I have days too where I'll have a day where I'm just on it. Things are getting done. Mm-hmm. I feel so great. And then you wake up the next day and like it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. And that there's the angel and the devil, and the devil's in your ear telling you like, oh, you're not that good at this. Why are you doing this? You should just quit. You're worthless. I'm wondering, like, where does that come from? And I realize too that us as humans, that comes, I've talked about with some people with this, that comes from that primal instinct. Because if you think about it, we have a lot of comforts now. There's a lot of things we don't have to worry. You don't. When you wake up, you don't have to worry about going out and killing something and eating it for the day. You're not worrying about a neighboring tribe or somebody coming to attack you. In some parts of the world, you do worry about that, but here in the States, it's like we have a lot of comforts now that we don't have to think about too much. So it's almost like that primordial part of our brain still is there on high alert, still there to put you in that negative, on edge state. So that you really, I call it whack-a-mole. It's like a whack-a-mole at the arcade. When those little negative things start coming up, you gotta whack, whack, whack. Nope, not today. Nope, not today. And I've had to do that. There's been days where I'm like, not today. Nope, we're not going there. So when those thoughts creep in, it's like we're getting out of that. We're going to the gym. I'm talking to a friend, inspirational conversation. I'm listening to music, going to my projects, and you really do have to make the effort.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really good point. And, going back to the, generally speaking, and we talked about this before, and you mentioned that, what I'm about to say, you mentioned it last time you were here on the show, and you said each and every one of us is going to die. So might as well do the things that you want to do now, because you're here now. Just go after your passion. Do what makes you happy, because at the end, we're all gone.
Thank you for bringing that up. I actually think I noted to say something along that, because yes, I know it's some people think it's a morbid way of thinking, but it's just the truth. We are all leaving here.
Exactly.
Everybody. Doesn't matter how successful you are, how much money you have, how good looking you are. Every single one of us has the same exact fate. It may happen in different ways.
Yeah.
But we're all ending the same. Like it's all coming to an end.
Exactly.
So at least in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Which I know we can talk a whole other conversation on that. But my leg injury showed me that too, because man, I'm grateful to have gotten out of it like I did, because it could have been way worse. And that's what I mean, going back to gratitude. So even when bad things happen, hey, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I'm about to turn 38 years old. I'll be 38 when this comes out. It's like, man, I'm getting to the 40 mark, but you could reverse your thinking and say, wow, what a blessing to have gotten this far. Because it's the curtain's going to be called Meditations, the book by Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
How he ends it, I love how he ends it. I'm paraphrasing him. He talks about how you didn't ask to come here. You were given the opportunity to come here in this life. And he was giving the analogy of like a stage show. When it's time to go and the curtain starts to go and it's your time, you really can't get mad at it, because you were given the gift to be here in the first place.
Yes.
So that all being said, I'm a big believer in this is your life. If you don't decide the way it's going to go, other people and things are going to decide for you. Recognize, and time starts to go quicker the older you get. And there's even times now where what really lights a fire under me is when I look back at past experiences and I'm like, man, I could have done that project. I was in my head about that. I was making money an excuse. And this is why I believe so much in Produce Your Passion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you out of that mind space. When you look back at it, you're going to realize, like, I could have made that happen.
Yeah.
I could have done that. I was just letting this be an excuse for me not to do it. And now a lot of time has passed. And maybe there's still time, but maybe some windows have closed. Because that happens too. Sometimes windows do close.
They do. And don't worry about what other people say about you, or whatever that you're doing. Because I heard this once on the net, and I think it's very profound. What other people think of me is none of my business. You cannot change that. I mean, people, they're going to think of you the way they want to think of you. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think of you. I mean, of course, you have to have a good reputation, but what they think of you is really, you can't change it. Just do your thing. And as long as you're doing your thing and you're going about your business, and you're fine.
Add on, that's great that you shared that. Now it's their perception of you.
Exactly.
Only you know who you are. Everything else is everyone's interpretation of who they think you are.
And you cannot change that.
No.
I mean, if they want to think...
Nor should you want to.
Exactly. Why would you want to do that? Just let them.
Now you're living your life for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that helps a lot, because a lot of people they say, you know what, other people, they're gonna think of me this way. They're gonna laugh at me. I'm not good enough, and going back to not doing what you want because of this or because of that. But I don't think it's a good excuse. You just you have to just put it on the side. It's easier said than done.
It is.
But you have to train yourself, like you said, to do all these things.
Yeah, and I'm not perfect in any of this, but I've definitely gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
But it's through experience. It's through, I said this the other day on an interview. Sometimes you have to step on the landmines. Sometimes you have to trip on the pothole, because that's how you learn.
Exactly.
That's how you get experience.
Yeah.
And through those experiences, you recognize when those things come up again, oops, step there before. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And one more thing.
Sure.
Well, it's not one more thing. There's a lot of things I want to talk to you about. But communication skills. Now, how can someone improve their communication skills and build a stronger relationship or relationships with like-minded people, or producing their passion or a business or anything else like that?
Yeah, I think in terms of my viewpoint on this, what I can contribute to the realm of communication is put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. I go to a lot of networking events, artistic productions, a lot of different community type events, because that's how I meet people. You got to throw yourself outside the comfort zone and put yourself in position to communicate.
Okay.
You have to be willing to have a conversation with that stranger. Not just stick around the group of people that you always hang around all the time. You got to be able to branch out. So that's what I would suggest, because when you do that, you're going to meet different people with different walks of life, different experiences, different connections. And when you just stick to your same group the whole time, you're really not flexing and growing that communication muscle.
Okay.
Now, that being said, when it comes to more interpersonal communication, I definitely, and I'm practicing this as I go along as well, but addressing things early and having conversations about if you feel a certain way about something, whether this was a friend, a business relationship, a romantic relationship, saying something and say, hey, I feel a certain way about this. Let's talk about it, so you don't get resentment.
Okay.
So you don't get resentment. And when you communicate that early, you guys, you squash it. Because what happens when you don't communicate something and resentment builds, and then what happens is little thing after little thing after little thing adds up, and then one thing will happen that may not even be that big a deal, and you just explode. Okay. Because you have all these other instances that you haven't properly talked about with someone and gotten on the same page with. Communicating. And I'm an over communicator too. I'll over communicate with people a lot of times, especially when you're doing a podcast and bringing people on, making sure my writing is very clear. Clarity. Proofreading everything I'm sending out. I'm like, okay, does this make sense? Do I explain this correctly? Like, you sent me a show email for tonight. It was perfect. You told me what we were doing, different topics we may discuss, and, here's where to be, here's the time, et cetera, et cetera. So I think with communication, you also have to be proactive. Because when people wait, I'll just see what they do, and you're like, oh, I'll just see what they do. It's like, well, a lot of times you're not going to get anywhere, and things just drop off. People ghost people. Nothing gets done. So sometimes you have to take the reins of communication and be the one that proactively is the one to get people on the same page to take action.
You got to take the initiative and, go from there. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was going to ask you about how to resolve conflicts and, promote healthy connections. And you just answered that, communication is key. And if there's a problem, you have to talk about it. You have to resolve it. Don't keep anything, so because it's going to build up, like you said. Absolutely, I agree with that.
And I'm going to add to this, because this is something I've learned as of late too. I don't know if people pleaser is the right word, but I've always, my personality is, I don't like it when people are upset with me. I don't want people to like me. But I've had to accept the fact that not everyone is going to like you. And it's not a bad thing if someone doesn't like you.
Yeah.
You guys just don't gel. You just don't match. And there's been a few situations where maybe I've recognized I'm trying to like, oh, I can win this person over. I can communicate in a way that I'm really going to be on their level and they're going to understand. I justify it. And look, there's times where you do adjust your communication. Like I do have executive rapport. You know, you can talk to the CEO, you can talk to the janitor. But there are instances where, you know what, you two just don't gel. So that's okay. Not everyone's going to gel with everybody. So let it go. Don't try to impress someone or make it a challenge for you to win this communication battle. Just recognize like, hey, I don't think we can work together. And that's all right.
Yeah. Don't try to please people.
Don't try to please people.
Yeah.
The same with dating, right? Like there's people, you can recognize that, hey, this person's not a bad person. In fact, they're a really good person, but we literally don't have any chemistry. There is no compatibility.
Yeah.
So what are we, and just, hey, good luck.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And I was going to say it's like acting. It's like going and, performing an audition. Yeah, if you go in there with the intention of pleasing the casting director, then you're not going to get the job. But if you go there and you just do your thing, this is how I do this scene. This is how I'm going to, act in this 2 minutes that they give you. And don't try to please anyone. Just be yourself. And you have a better chance of, booking the job than if you just want to please everyone. So please hire me. That's not the attitude you want to go with.
Yeah, and what they say in acting, give your best. And even though you didn't get the role, maybe they still like you and see what you're doing, but you're just not right for that role.
Yeah.
So your attitude, how you communicate your attitude toward that, they're going to remember that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? He's been in a bunch of times. He hasn't been right for any of these roles, but man, I think this one he's going to be right for. Okay. Your professionalism, how you conduct yourself. I say this all the time, but how you do anything's how you do everything.
True. And that brings us to health and well-being. And you are the person to talk to about these things because, you live. I think the gym is your first house and your apartment is your second house.
That's about right. Place. Add the hot yoga studio to that now too.
Oh, you go there now?
Oh yeah. Multiple times a week.
Okay, so how can a person maintain a healthy balance, lifestyle and mental well-being?
Yeah, this is something I'm very passionate about. This is a passion I love to produce is my own health and fitness. I'm obsessed. I love listening to health influencers on podcasts. I love doing my own research, reading books. It comes from my sports background. Just wanting to become the best optimal version of myself. What I would tell people, and I am not a licensed fitness trainer or nutritional expert, you got to find what works for you. You got to find the types of exercises, the type of working out. Like, for example, I love lifting weights. Love it. Some people may just not like the weight room. They may not like the environment. They don't like the type of exercise, but maybe they are really into running or jogging. Or hiking. That's their exercise. My number one step would be just find the exercise that's going to be easiest for you to get started in. You want to keep challenging yourself, but you gotta be realistic too. You don't want to go to someone that's never worked out before and be like, hey, here's a full bodybuilding program. You're going to be lifting twice a day. Like, dude, they're not going to do it. Yeah. They're going to quit right away. So find something that you enjoy so it doesn't seem like a huge chore to you. You enjoy it. And as you build, what happens is when you work out, you're going to want to keep challenging yourself and you're going to evolve to doing more. I mean, I love hiking, but now I love hiking with a 40-pound weight vest. Okay. I've been doing that for a while. It's probably time to go up to 50 pounds, 60 pounds. So find something that's going to be easy for you, something that you can stick to and throw into your routine. with everything you're doing. And even if it's 30 minutes a day, even if that means 3 10-minute walks a day or 1 30-minute walk in the evening, something is better than nothing. Eating, same way. I'm very strict. Everyone who knows me, I mean, I was the the guy at family Thanksgivings, whatever diet fad I was on at the time, I'd have my own food, and my mom would be like, all right, what are you eating this year? What's your thing now? But now I'm to a point where I'm like, I think there's good things about all these different types of eating plans and diets and things. I'm more of just whole, nutritious foods. High quality meats, vegetables, fruits. I do eat some dairy, some white rice, some nuts. But that's about it. If someone once told me if it comes in a box, don't eat it.
Or a can.
Or I guess I do eat canned black beans. So
Okay.
guilty. But
No, I was asking.
Yeah.
I was asking if, a box or a can.
Yeah, but find foods that if you can't pronounce the ingredients on the back, and if there's more than a couple of ingredients besides like water and salt, chances are you probably shouldn't eat that or probably don't eat that a lot. But you look at a lot of foods that we have and you read the box, it's like insane.
Yeah.
Like, what are you putting in this? And it didn't used to be that way. So I am all for the movement of Make America Healthy Again.
No, absolutely.
As far as like, look, we really need to take a look at this, because there's no reason why kids and people should be getting sick this early and not in shape. I mean, it's really hurting our society.
No, it is. And I don't know how true this is, but they say the Coca-Cola in America, they don't put natural sugar. They put something else. I don't know what they put, but this is what I heard. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it's true or not, because it was a TikTok or Instagram video.
Yeah.
But I mean, the ingredients over here is different than what's in Europe or maybe Mexico or Canada. But that's what they say. We're the worst.
I've never been, but for example, I talked to people who've been to Italy. They ate whatever they want the entire time there, didn't gain any weight.
But they walk a lot there too.
Well, they walk a lot, but they're using more organic, cleaner ingredients.
Okay.
Whereas if you go eat a bunch of Italian food, if it's all just American processed here, you're going to be gaining weight rather quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably. I love Italian. I love it. It's great. But, and this is a whole other discussion, but what you put in this body is the only body you get. This isn't like, your body is like a car.
Yeah.
The food is the fuel, but the difference is a car, if it goes kaput, you can go get a new car.
True.
You can't get a body. So you have to take care of it. And the older I get, I'm just like, man, the more important this is. Because if I want to keep operating at a certain level, you have to make sure the engine's running correctly. You have to be getting, and this is another underrated thing that is getting talked about more, but sleep. Sleep. I do not negotiate my sleep.
And I think you lose calories when you sleep good.
Yeah. I don't know the science behind that, so I don't want to talk on something I'm not totally versed in, but it's your body's recovery. If you go to the gym and break down your muscles, that's step one. Then you have to eat right, but then you have to let those muscles recover and grow. If you're not getting sleep, it's just not going to do it to the level that it could if you were getting a good night's sleep.
True. So sleep, exercise, eating good, healthy, and maintain a healthy mind.
Yep.
Yeah, by reading good books.
Good books, and again, I'm big on self-help, and I read a lot of different, I would say, technology type books and things like that. Look, if you just want to read creative novels, do that. I've really been into biographies lately.
Okay.
I read Elon Musk's biography, and now I'm finishing up Steve Jobs' biography. The next one I'm reading Leonardo da Vinci's biography, all by the same author, Walter Isaacson. But just same with the exercise, find reading material that you like and that you enjoy, because the more you read, the sharper your mind gets, the better your vocabulary is, the better your focus is. And I'm a big fan of reading the physical book.
Yeah.
I like the real thing.
That's what I like. I like to buy the book and, read it instead of going online. And just because it gets boring for me when I go online on my computer. When I have the book in my hand, I read for maybe 15 or maybe 45 minutes. Then I put it next to me, and the next day I do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's better, I think. For me.
Yeah. Find what works for you.
Exactly. And is there anything else that you would like to add?
To the whole conversation?
Anything.
Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, this has been good to talk, and congratulations on adding another show interview segment to Valley Productions LLC. I'm proud of you, man. Like, you really, man, like I said, I came in here and you had one camera, and now like you have a full production setup. It's awesome.
Yeah, over the years.
Yeah. I think just the main things is, right now, I mean, Produce Your Passion, that's a project here that we're getting ready to launch out. ProduceYourPassion.com. It's right now, as we're recording this, we have the splash page up, so you can put your email in there to get notified when we are coming out with the full out website, which is going to have video content, how you can book me for speaking. It's going to have the free book, Produce Your Passion. People are going to be able to just download it. It's yours, free. Take it, learn from it, get inspired. We're going to have a podcast on there, which I want you to come on.
Sure. I'd be glad to come on.
Yeah, and then coaching, coaching services to, help people get over those obstacles that are holding them back. So that project, I mean, Produce Your Passion is really is my life's mantra. Like that's how I live my life. I tell people too, if you're looking for somebody that's going to tell you how to make a bunch of money and, hit it big financially, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. Your passion may bring you money. It could, but you have to go into it being totally okay that this may never bring you a dime.
I see.
And that's a lot of what I've done. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I guess I could have done this. I might have made more money over there, but this is what I want to do. This is in me. It's beyond money. Like these passions that are inside of you. And I guess I'll tie up Produce Your Passion with this is you may not think so a thing with Produce Your Passion we talk about is why should you do this? Like, why would you put yourself through stress, spending money on stuff, even though you love it, it's a lot of work. Why would you do it?
Yeah.
Number one, you're going to regret it. I think we already touched on regret and looking at your life. Number two is you may not think it's important what it is you want to produce, but to someone else, it's going to mean everything. So that short film that you're like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to do this. That may be the universe telling you, that it's your job to do this because we need this person over here to see your film. And they're going to get inspired from that, and they're going to go do something great.
Yeah.
So a lot of times Producing Your Passion too, we're just the vessel. We're the ones that get the inspirations and the vision. Now we got to go put it together. What happens with it? A lot of times we don't have control of that. You create it, you let it go, it becomes whatever it becomes. So that would be something I would want people to think about too. You may not think it's a big deal. And then the third thing I'll do to tie that up, the whole thing, when you produce your passions and you're living your truth and on your purpose, you become the most authentic version of yourself. I know what it feels like to live the double life. You're working a job, no one at your job knows what you do outside of it creatively. And you have to watch what is on your LinkedIn all the time, and you got to be careful who you say what to, because they may tell Johnny, who tells Susie, who tells the manager, did you know that he does this in his spare time? And not that you're not allowed to do that, but it's just a weird space. So I know what it feels like to have to hide that.
Yeah.
And the more you take the reins, and that's what I want people to realize, so take control. This is your life is your movie. Produce it the way you want to. Because when you become your most authentic self, not only are you going to be doing that for you, but you're helping all of humanity because you're going to be a better person to be around. You're going to be more inspiring. You're going to be giving more value, which is going to inspire others to do that. Now imagine if everyone was living that way. Probably get along a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know? So
We're going to have less issues in this world.
yeah, less issues.
No, absolutely. And one thing I want to say is that it's all about memories as well. Like when you're at 80 years old, 85 years old, 90 years old, and you can't do these things anymore, or maybe you're about to go to the other life or whatever you want to call it. You have no regrets. You did what you wanted to do, or at least you tried. So you don't have to say, I wish I could go back and try to do this. I wish I could go back. You don't want to have any regrets like that, I think. And you want to have, it's all about memories. Just have good memories, as many as you can. So this way, at your 80s or 90s or whatever, you're a happy person. You did what you wanted to do.
I completely agree. And just to throw a little bit of film stuff in there, I mean, first of all, Long Road to Bakersfield, I will continuously plug that in everything that we ever do, because that's a great memory I have.
It is a great memory.
That short film we did. And then, San Fernando, that's another project that, again, I hold myself accountable with Produce Your Passion. I'm like, hey, I'm not perfect at this. There's actually passions I have not produced. And even when I was writing the book, I'm like, okay, this is how I can rethink this. This is how I can do this and make this happen. These other projects. So if it's in you, don't let it die in there. And I know we all say, don't let it die, die empty type of thing, but it is true. There's a reason why you're thinking it. There's a reason why you can't stop thinking about it. There's a reason why it's giving you that feeling. It's whatever that is telling you to go do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned the, San Fernando. That's the movie. Is it a feature or is it a TV show?
A feature, but I want to make it a web series.
Oh, you're a web series.
Yeah. Which could be a TV show.
Okay, so is that under the Sam Dever Productions?
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to be making short movies and feature movies, or maybe TV shows, YouTube shows. Right?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing something similar as well. I'm going to be doing some small, not feature films, but short movies and maybe documentaries very, very soon. So I just wanted to touch base on that with you. So you're still thinking about San Fernando?
Absolutely. I don't stop thinking about it.
Okay.
This is a gift or a curse. I have so many projects that I want to do, which I've had to learn. Okay, you got to go step 1, step 2, step 3. My ultimate vision with Sam Dever Productions is it houses all my creative endeavors. I'm open to working with other people and getting hired to help them with their projects and whatnot. I'm open for business in that aspect too. I'll make that clear. But at the end of the day, I'm getting my stuff done. Okay. I'm doing it. And to your point, look at both of our companies. We're living in an age now where you can create a YouTube channel and you have your own network.
Yes.
You literally have your own TV network, because YouTube's going more and more to TV right now. That's where it's going. So you don't need permission. And that's what Produce Your Passion, going back to that, because Produce Your Passion relates to all of this, is we're not waiting for permission anymore. We're not waiting for someone in Hollywood to say, okay, I'll give you a shot. I'll give you an opportunity. Like, I'm making my own shots.
Yeah.
If stuff comes from other people, great. But I'm going this way no matter what.
Yeah.
So with Sam Dever Productions, like, my thing with that is, I'm like, okay, this is my own personal Walt Disney company.
Yeah.
Like, this is whatever I want to create, I'm going to do it under this.
Absolutely. And it's available not just for the people in the U.S., it's worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide, man.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's a gift. And I'm glad we're talking, because it's got me to this thought here. I mean, we have a responsibility to do these things because we're in position to do it. I've had this talk on the podcast. Several other creators have said this, but how many people would die to be in our positions? How many people would do anything to trade places and be where we're at in LA? And not only just be in LA, but have a network built. We're doing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're shooting films, doing this. I'm doing what I'm doing. We're in the game. Like we are participants in this game.
Yep.
You know, how big a fish are we compared to the giant fish that are out here? Because LA is a giant ocean, my friend.
It is.
But we're swimming.
Yeah.
We're swimming in it, and we're making our own way. And that's I do think about that. There's times where, and my leg injury taught me this too, is like, hey, and this can go back to what we were talking about, like when you're getting funky mind states. It's like Godfather. That scene where he's like, Godfather, he's crying. He's like, snap out of it. It's like, man, there's people that can't get out of bed right now.
Yes.
There's people that were just told, you have this many months to live. There's people that just lost some of the closest people to X, fill in the blanks. Life is going to happen. So if you're living, you're breathing, you have a pulse, and you're able, I use the word able, you're capable. Man, if you're not using that, you're wasting it.
Sure. I agree. Absolutely. You're wasting your life. I mean, you have to do what makes you happy. Even you don't have to become big. And life is, you have to balance life. It's not just work or, staying home and not working is not good. Working too much is not good. You just have to balance things to find that happiness. And I don't know if you can ever find happiness, to be honest with you.
That's a whole other topic.
It's a whole other topic, but I don't think happiness exists. I think joy exists, but I don't think happiness itself, like there's no way to go and find happiness. They say happiness is the way, but that's another subject that we can talk about.
I've replaced happiness, I think, with purpose.
Purpose.
I think purpose is my happiness. Because everyone's like, oh, you got to be happy. You got to be happy. Well, what is happy? What's the definition of happy, first of all?
Well,
Purpose is more of like, boy, where does this energy come from? Because I have purpose. I have a role. I'm contributing to something. I'm making something for the greater good of human consciousness and society. Where happiness is like, oh, I get to be happy. Which I'm not saying it's not important. I get happy, and like, sure, I have my own, like I told you, I'm a man of routine. I'm happy when I go have my great workout, and I come home and I cook my sirloin steak with my veggies, and maybe I just got watermelon season's coming up.
Exactly.
Out here, we got in California, I got a nice, cool, crisp watermelon. I'm like, this is nice.
Yeah, no.
But then after that, it's like, all right, let's get back to work.
Yeah. Be honest with you, sometimes when I'm driving on the 101, I'm happy. I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
I'm in California.
Yeah, this is great weather.
Yeah.
Driving on the freeway, nice people next to you driving, and it's just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Simple, but it makes me happy.
Yeah, and I think where it gets muddy is where people, especially when other people are trying to tell you what you need to do, only you are going to know what makes you happy.
Exactly.
But I think if you're constantly spending your entire life trying to achieve quote unquote happiness, what would you rather have, just to experience a constant state of blissful moments, which I'm saying isn't important, or be doing things that are leaving legacy, helping others, and creating a greater good, even though you may be stressed the hell out.
Exactly.
I mean, Joseph Campbell talks about this in the book, The Hero's Journey. People like Jesus, the knight in shining armor, like you read about them afterwards and like, oh, look what they did, look what they became. But look, the reality is Jesus went through absolute hell, literally getting crucified on a cross. The knight gets beat up, fire blown on him from the dragon. It's absolute hell going through it. But we read the stories. I'm like, oh man, I want to be the hero. It's like, do you?
Exactly.
Do you want to be the hero?
It's not an easy job.
Okay, so I just saw a Mr. Beast interview on Diary of a CEO. Mr. Beast is the most successful YouTuber in the world. He said something that really stuck with me. Because Mr. Beast lays it out on how he does what he does. He doesn't have any crazy secrets. He goes, this is how I got big on YouTube. This is how I did it. He goes, do you want to know why there's not another Mr. Beast like me? Because people aren't willing to go through what I go through to make this happen. He talked about his stress levels, the amount of work it takes to do what he does, the pressure, the constant travel. A lot of people, they're never going to want to do that. They want to be famous.
Yeah.
They want to be rich. People don't want to do the work.
Exactly. And you
You
got to
know?
do the work to get to that level,
Yeah.
to get to that place.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And it takes time.
Yeah.
It's not overnight.
I talk about this in Produce Your Passion, the book. There's a gift of being able to work with bare minimum resources in the beginning because you learn. I'm sure you can relate. You start with just you and that camera. You had to learn video editing. You had to learn this. You had to learn that, blah, blah, blah. Now you're doing all of this. And now when you start even bringing more people involved, you're going to be able to communicate with them, back to communication.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I need you to do over here. This is what I need you to do right here because you've done it. You know it.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if you were to hand them a check for $1 million and say, here's $1 million for whatever you want to do, they're not going to know what to do with it.
Yeah. That's true.
When you've worked with less for a long time, you're going to know when you do get that $1 million or even that 100,000, how I'm able to stretch this a lot further. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to be smart with it. And you're just going to think sharper with it. So,
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I'm really excited to, for your book and for
Thank
the
you.
website
thank you.
and for the launch of Pursue Your Passion.
Produce.
Produce Your Passion. Produce Your Passion. What did I say?
Pursue.
Pursue. Oh.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because when I came up with this too, everyone does say pursue your passion, but with pursue your passion, it's kind of lackadaisical. Like, oh, we're going to pursue it and see what happens. Produce is like, no, this is what we're doing.
Okay.
We're going to happen. So I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
so-
can edit still if you want.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna leave it. Produce your passion. But it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend, and it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. You care if I plug everything real quick before I head out?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So produceyourpassion.com, samdeverproductions.com, samdever.com, thesocialmediashow.com, which that site's being worked on now, right, too. But if the sites aren't fully up, there's splash pages where people can put their email and they'll be updated. Type all those things on social media. You'll find all of it.
Okay, and you gotta give me that on a piece of paper. 'Cause I'm not gonna remember all that. But hey, it's a pleasure. Thank you for coming on, and cheers.
Mike, thank you so much. Congrats on everything.
Thank you.